Hey, it's Kevin and Fred. Do you have a referral for us here in Phoenix? There are 30,000 agents here that you could send them to. Why us? Well, for one thing, we'll keep you updated and you'll never have to track down your commission.
We'll also make you look really good to your client. And best of all, it helps us keep all this content free. So go to kevinandfred.com/referral to make the introduction. We'll take great care of them.
All right, Next Level Podcast listeners, we are back, and today we are lucky. We are joined by Mr. Adam Contos, the CEO of Remax. Adam, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Kevin. How are you?
I am doing great, man. I'm so glad we finally got the opportunity to get this on the calendar and get this recorded. So thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Yeah, I think we talked about this like 6 months to a year ago or something like that. So
yeah, it's funny. We met early January of 2019 because we were at the same event, and that was, that in itself was something that just stuck out to me that hopefully we'll get some time to talk to you about. But it was a personal growth thing. It was a business growth type event, and you and I somehow ended up at the same table and got to meet you. And I really liked what you're doing. So I'm glad we got the chance to have this conversation.
cool. Well, I'm honored to be here. So thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure. So why don't we do this? Tell me. So obviously today you're the CEO of Remax, but where does your real estate career start? Let's maybe go backwards a little bit. I'd love to hear kind of how you got into the real estate world, and we'll take it forward from there.
It's kind of funny. So I don't sell houses. I'm not a real estate agent. I build businesses, and I've been an entrepreneur for decades. And it's a funny story because I kind of grew up in a real estate office. One of my friend's moms was a realtor, so I would sort through MLS books and highlight listings and fill out 3x5 note cards, and then rip things off the dot matrix printer from the MLS and stuff like that. In fact, I think that printer is still in a lot of different offices around the country. But so I kind of grew up a little bit in it, and then I got into law enforcement when I got into the professional world. So I was a police officer for 11 years. I'd always been an entrepreneur, and somehow I ended up at DEA undercover narcotics school and worked undercover narcotics for a couple of years, which is actually where I learned sales, believe it or not. So it's kind of
I can see that.
Yeah, it was kind of a fun connection, kind of a weird connection, but it was hilarious because they would kick us out the door and go, okay, you and your partner go find somebody and figure out how you can buy drugs from them. So you'd have to go meet people and earn their trust and then figure out how to conduct some sort of a transaction with them and learn street level hardcore sales. And it turned into a 2-year undercover stint for me. So it was a lot of fun.
Wow.
So
That's not the typical path. Now, I've met a lot of people in the real estate and the business world who have law enforcement in their background, but that is not your typical path, I'm guessing.
no, it really wasn't, but it was a lot of fun. After I got out of narcotics, I ended up getting on a SWAT team, or actually I was on a SWAT team while we worked narcotics, and then kind of grew up that way. Left law enforcement in 2004. Before I left law enforcement, I had started an online business. So a police supply company where, on the internet. Wasn't the best time in the late 90s to start an online business. And then I started a security consulting company in the early 2000s because I knew that service business was the way to go. And then part of that involved me working with real estate agents, where I figured out that real estate agents were getting hurt and killed doing this business, unfortunately. So I created a real estate agent safety program based upon law enforcement survival skills. So in the business, you go unknown places with unknown people. And I looked at it and I thought, gosh, a lot of real estate agents are going places that I would take a backup officer to with, and we had guns. So, you figure out there's got to be some lessons in here that I can help the real estate industry learn from police survival skills. So I started a program called SAFER, Safety Awareness for Every Realtor, and got into real estate that way, and then started doing business development in different offices. And then Remax ended up picking me up to do franchise consulting, business development. And I've been here for 15 years, and now I'm sitting in this office. So
Wow. Okay. So you started off in as far as Remax goes in business development and franchise consulting, and have worked your way up to literally to the top, to the CEO of one of the largest real estate companies in the history of the world. That's pretty. That tells me I know this about you already, but that says a lot about your work ethic and the type of person that you are. So tell me. Gosh, I so many questions I want to ask about this, but so as the guy who finds himself in the real estate world, and all of a sudden he's consulting franchises and consulting with business development, to here you are today as an executive of a very large corporation. I mean, how different is your world today? And do you ever think about, man, how did I go from there to here? Not that one's necessarily better than the other, but they are different. There's no doubt about that.
yeah, I mean, they're a little different, but fundamentally, when you look at human nature, and you and I have talked about this in our mastermind groups, we talk about principles of human nature. So people have challenges, and it's up to us in this industry. I don't care who you're with, but it's up to us to help people uncover their challenges, identify those challenges. And we know that if we can tell somebody's challenges to them better than they can tell them to us, they understand that we have the answer to those challenges. So we have to be able to articulate those challenges of the consumer, or just people that you meet when it comes to buying and selling homes, or really lifestyle. And that's what law enforcement was about as well, is meeting somebody and trying to uncover those challenges, because you just don't show up and have them go, here's what's wrong. You kind of have to start peeling the onion and getting into their emotions and what scares them and what they've experienced in order to determine how you can help them. So it's human nature. It's a human nature business, just like real estate is a human nature business. And that's what I love about it, is we get to help people overcome their challenges after we identify those. But if you never identify them, they don't know that you're the one to help them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So let me ask you this. So did that come natural to you? Did you just sort of discover that, or is that like a process of, dude, obviously you've had a great deal of mentors and coaches along the way, but was that someone said something to you one day, a light bulb went off, or was this kind of like a process maybe that you went through that you realized like, hey, this is actually how I can be successful in the business arena?
I think it's a combination of all of those things. I've had a mentor. I've been part of masterminds. I've had a coach. Really for the past 2 decades, I've had a combination of those 3 things. And I've also sought daily education. So it's, you can't make the last day you graduated from school, whatever level of school that is, the last day you learn something. Last day you learn something needs to be today. You need to learn something every day. And what that does is that continues to refresh how you view people, how you can help people, because you might end up learning a new word that people are now using now to describe their challenges. You might end up discovering a new challenge that society's facing, or start doing the math and putting a combination of these things together where it allows you to reach out and get people's attention, get their interest, so they know that you're a helper. They know that you're a giver, a connector, and you can go out and make things happen for them so they can get better every day also, just like you are.
So let me ask you, let me dial in or dive in there on one of that part. So you talk about learning every day, which I totally agree with. Like if the last day you learned something was, college or high school, then you got some serious problems unless you graduated today. Is there a very specific way you go about learning every day? Do you have a habit or a routine that helps you to make sure you're not going a day or too many days in a row without really kind of feeding your mind?
I do. I have a lot of habits. I believe in habits. I think habits and processes lead to results. And I mean, let's face it, entrepreneurs are seeking results, but you just can't go out and say, give me results. You gotta do all those little daily steps that lead to those results. And those are our habits. So I get up at 4:30 every morning. A lot of people are like, no way, I would never do that, but that's fine. It doesn't matter what time you get up, but have some habits that you put into play that don't lead to you closing your eyes at the end of the day going, I didn't get anything done. I didn't grow. I didn't learn. I didn't help. I didn't expand my business. I did nothing today to make more money for my business, things like that. So my day looks like get up at 4:30. I have my breakfast, my vitamins, whatever. And I listen to Darren Hardy has this thing called Darren Daily. It's a daily video 5 days a week. He's been doing it for 5 years now. And it's like 5 minutes. So you listen to that. It's a good idea. It'll start to get the brain moving and thinking about a business principle or a self-development principle. I also, when I go to the gym at that point, I listen to a podcast. I'm not one to listen to a whole bunch of music unless I need the music at that time, but I really need education more than I need music. So I'm always looking for something to learn. And of course the notes, I'll sit here, I'll pull out the iPhone and I'll be like, I'm going to put this in my notes. And so I accumulate notes by the end of my workout, just 1 or 2 sentences that are different things that I've learned. And I could sit down at the office and say, is this something that belongs in my business or the business of the people that I serve? And there you go. That kind of gets the day going with some education for me.
That's awesome. That's your routine there. Do you have any other, so obviously I know you're part of masterminds. Do you have anything else that you maybe do on a less frequently basis, whether that's quarterly, monthly, or even annually? Is there anything really big that you say, hey, I gotta do this every so often?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you mentioned masterminds, which thank you. I mean, I love masterminds. Huge part of my life, of my year. I try to get to probably 3 to 4 a year. I'm part of some outside of our industry. I'm also part of some inside of our industry. And I don't care what brand you're with. It doesn't matter what company you're with. Kevin, you and I are with 2 different brands. Doesn't matter. We're friends and we both want to grow our businesses and share ideas and help people. So fundamentally, it's about being good people and giving unconditionally into these groups to help each other grow. And it's reciprocal. We sit and talk, we come up with ideas. You grow, I grow, we help others grow. We're fulfilled. So, that's masterminds are a huge thing. And I got to tell you, you're not of this mindset, but there are some people of this mindset where you go sit at a table in a mastermind and people are like, I'm not saying anything because they work for a different company. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you got something good to say it and be a kind, caring, giving human being. And you know what? You're going to help people and you're going to help yourself because you're going to remember that as well. And you're going to build that into your business and you're going to understand the different angles of it. And you never know, the person you're talking to might go, oh, I thought of this angle and I got this result. And now you both grew from that.
Yeah. I love that you say that. One of the main reason why I started this podcast was to interview people because I've had so many conversations. I'm of the same mindset, go to different masterminds as often as I can, a few times a year, both inside and outside the industry. And I get to have great conversations with these people. And I'm just thought, if I can just record these and let other people listen in on them, other people will learn hopefully as much, if not more than what I'm learning from them, because this has been the thing that I know has helped me grow as not just a person, but as a business person. And it's made such an impact in my life. And so that was the thing that truthfully stuck out to me. I've been fortunate enough to meet some really great people in the real estate industry. And I would definitely put you right up there with them. But the thing, Adam, that I love about you, man, that just stuck out to me right away is when you and I met, you were the only dude that wasn't a real estate agent in a room full of real estate agents who was just there to learn. And it was a mastermind. And, Mr. John Cheplack was the one that it was an event of his who I love John. He's become such a good friend of me over the years, as well as a mentor. And the fact that someone like you showed up to something like that, like there's not a lot of other real estate executives kind of hanging out in those rooms. And truthfully there as a student and as a giver. And that was something that just stuck out to me about you from the get-go. And I believe in that at my very core, that we've got to do that to be able to grow as people.
Well, thank you. I think, first, I appreciate the kind words. I challenge the other executives in the space and really in any other space to go be the biggest learner in your business. So go out and see how amazing of a brain trust you can build in order to help your your industry, because we're all in a struggle for industry significance. I don't care what industry you're in, automotive, real estate, retail, B2B, whatever it might be. You're in a fight for significance every day. And the more you can give, the more caring you can be to the customer, regardless of who it is in your space, the closer relationships you can build. Everybody wins when it comes to the rising tide lifting all ships concept. And it also roots out the subpar performers in an industry. And I think that's necessary in every industry. There's got to be a process where people who are bringing down the industry need to feel some pressure. And if those people aren't willing to up their game, that's fine.
Yep.
Go find somewhere else. I don't care what brand you're with. I don't care what company you're with. If you're going to perform at a subpar level in real estate, in our business, we don't want you here. We want quality, and we want people who care about the consumer and provide consumer protection.
Yeah, exactly. Go somewhere else. You said something just about a minute ago about relationships, and I know that you've got a close relationship with Mr. Liniger, and obviously he's been a big influence on your life, and I'm assuming one of your greatest mentors. What has that been like, man? Because he's not like your typical guy who started a real estate company. I mean, he's a legend, if we could use that word in our industry, and an icon. What has it been like to be able to work closely with somebody with his kind of resume, if you will?
I'm completely honored and blessed beyond words to have the opportunity to spend time with him, to have had him mentor me for decades. I knew him before I started doing anything with Remax. I knew him because of my law enforcement channels. He was heavily involved in the law enforcement community, and still is to a great deal in the area where I was a law enforcement officer. And just the wisdom you can gain from people like that. He is certainly an anomaly, an incredibly kind human being, one of the largest philanthropists that Colorado has ever seen, that the United States has ever seen. I mean, the guy's given away way more than he's ever kept for himself. And that's something that not a lot of people see, is that giving heart amongst these titans of industry. And you go, wow, that person's amazing. They must do a lot for themselves. No, they do a lot for others. So, I mean, it's interesting because you can ask him a question, and then what you get from the answer is way more than what you may have been looking for. And it's so cool because there's story involved, there's anecdote involved. There may be some pointed aspects where you have some reflection on your own actions, your past, or your future consideration out of that. And you walk away and go, I just sat at the table with somebody who provides unbelievably valuable wisdom, and you're so grateful for it. And it's funny, he's just one of the kindest human beings you'll ever meet. So it's kind of neat. He's the kind of guy there, if you go grab his bag after you get out of the car at the airport, he's like, no, I got it. Like, no, I can carry that for you. He goes, no, I got my bag. I want to take care of it. And he'll try and take yours too. And I mean, that's the kind of person that he is. He'll hold the door for people. People don't know who he is until they go, hey, wait a sec. You're Dave Liniger.
Yeah.
So, it's cool.
That is pretty cool to be able to work closely with someone like that. And what a great opportunity. Let me ask you this, kind of switching gears a little bit more into what's going on in the industry and really what's going on with realtors these days, because one of the things that also has attracted me to you from a friendship standpoint and a business standpoint is it's very clear to me that you stay in touch with, like, quite frankly, the people with boots on the ground. And so I know that means you're talking to them, you're learning from them. Like, what are some of the things that you see coming up in the industry, maybe that some of your agents are either dealing with, or some of the cool things that they're doing? Because unlike any other time, our industry, I hate to use the word under attack, because I'm not of the mindset that we're under attack. I believe it's changing quite a bit. The landscape of what it's like to be a real estate agent is changing more now than ever before. So because you're talking to these agents, obviously, I believe you've probably got a unique pulse on what's going on. What are some of the things that you've maybe learned from some of your agents around the country this year, and whether that be both on the good side or the challenging side?
I love this question because that is one of the things that I absolutely pride myself on is I go hang out with our boots on the ground, with our agents, with our leaders in the communities. In fact, just this past weekend, I was at one of the holiday parties for my wife's office. My wife's a real estate agent. And in fact, a lot of us that work at headquarters here, a lot of our spouses are real estate agents. So, I mean, we're very closely tied to the industry, but we also get out to different events, different meetings, spending time with agents. And I've been all over the world talking to real estate agents this past year. What you see is people kind of wondering the same thing that you're asking me. And they're like, okay, there's all this stuff going on. What should I be afraid of? What should I be concerned about? What do I need to focus on? What do I need to ignore? Some of those questions. Ultimately, what it boils down to is the word community. There's a lot of noise that is drawing us away from our community in this space. And you get what you focus on, right? In life, in business, you get what you focus on. If you focus on the noise, oh my gosh, the market's changing. Well, yeah, it changes every day, for crying out loud. It's like the weather. Okay. So we have a political election coming up in 2020. Oh my gosh, what's it going to do to the housing market? Who cares? Okay. Go out and build your community in your community and focus on doing the right things for the people in your community, because we know people will buy or sell a house every 8 to 12 years. Okay. A couple of years ago, NAR said the statistics was every 8 years. Now everybody's saying, well, it's closer to every 12 years. Regardless, raise the number of people in your sphere of influence that you're super close with, your dream clients, by a third then, because we just added a third onto that buying cycle of the consumer in the housing space. But adapt. Understand how much business is out there. We're supposed to have more business this year than we had last year, by the way, or in 2020, we're supposed to have more than we had in 2019, more new home sales and more resales, according to NAR. So how much are you going to raise your bar in the business, and stop listening to the things that you're looking at and focusing on? Do you turn on the TV and do you sit there and stare at it? Or do you turn off the TV and go talk to people that you should be building relationships with? Because that's where you can help. You can't help anybody by watching the news. Sorry. But you can help people by going and talking to others, by getting on social media, by creating some sort of a broadcast, a podcast, a video that you send out, community interaction pieces like, we always talk about community videos, things like that. That stuff works. Put it out there, talk about them. Remember the 3 most important words to every human being: me, myself, and I. It's got nothing to do with you. It's all about them. And they're right. Why? Because we all come from the same place in nature, which is survival and then growth. Okay. We got the survival thing down for the most part. Now we need to grow, but it's about our growth. So we need to address them that way and help them with their growth, their family growth, their financial growth, their community growth, things like that. So stop paying attention to the noise is really what I keep hearing around the world. I don't care what country you're in, what market you're in. The macro market means nothing. It's the micro market and what you can touch in it in your community.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that perspective because you guys are a worldwide company. And so you've got responsibility that goes way beyond just the Denver, Colorado area, right? And to hear you say that, knowing that you're communicating and in touch with people literally across the world, you going, hey, no, let's go into the micro and focus on our community. To me, first of all, I think you're spot on. But I believe you're also uniquely qualified to be able to say that because of the different types of conversations and relationships you have around the world.
It's funny. When you look at your market, whatever your market is, we've seen your market in another market last year. I mean, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
When you look globally at all the different real estate markets out there, and like our survey touches 54 major markets in the U.S., the National Housing Report that we put out. We've seen your market before recently, and we can tell you, here's what works in it. And it's the same thing that I'm saying, Kevin, that you say and work in your business. It's about getting out there as a human being and helping the community and building community. And then people go, hey, I know that guy, or I know that lady. They sell real estate, and I think I need those expert touches from them in order to help me through it.
Yeah, exactly. I so agree. I think too, you just touched on something that a lot of agents worry about. Maybe not worry about it, but maybe it's just kind of like that first generic line of defense, which is my market's different. And we all likes to think doesn't matter where you're at in this country. And I'm sure this goes well beyond the U.S., but everyone likes to think their market is special and unique. And the reality is, it is just like all of the others, right? We all have our unique points, but at the end of the day, we all kind of do the same thing. And you're not the only luxury market, or you're not the only mostly low-end market. You're not the only condo market, or whatever that happens to be like in your market. You're really not that unique. There's others just like you.
That's a unbelievably important point, because it's funny. My market's different, and you go, okay, I live in Castle Rock, Colorado. That market's different, but my neighborhood's different. My street's different. And you know what's also really different? My market up here. And that's the one thing that we almost forget about, is we want to throw some statistics at them instead of saying, what challenges you in your market that I can help you with? And because they might not have exactly the same perception of the market that you have. And if you just throw up some stats on them and some features and benefits of what you're going to do for them, you're not building a relationship. You're marketing. So it's about, getting through all of that to connect their head and their heart, to do something good for them. And then they go, okay. And then say, you let me know what I can do to help you. I'm here for you. I mean, think of yourself as a physician, and what matters most here, bedside manner. So how we treat people, customer experience, consumer experience, but how we treat people, human to human.
Yeah, I totally agree. What came up for me when you said that was something our mutual friend John Cheplack says quite a bit, which is everybody wants to buy, nobody wants to be sold, right? And when we do that feature and benefit kind of throw up, if you will, of, hey, let me throw all these stats at you and tell you all these things that you should be thinking about, that's trying to sell rather than connecting to them as a human being. And I think that's so important, no matter what our role is in business. And it doesn't even matter real estate, right? Like, it could be, because that's where you and I, that's the space that we're in. But it doesn't matter what industry. You talked about the car industry or the restaurant industry. If we just take that and look to connect to humans at a deeper level, rather than kind of feature benefit throw up, I think we're going to probably be good no matter what changes markets bring or technology bring, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you look back at the Great Recession that we all went through, horrible housing market, there were still millions of homes being bought and sold during that time. Somebody had to do that. And a lot of the people that are watching this were participating in the marketplace at that time. That way of doing business has changed. So those people changed, and now they're doing business a different way. So it's adapting and understanding there's always business out there to be found. We just need to go find it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, I came up in that market. I mean, my third transaction ever was a short sale. And then I was probably the next 1,000 or so were short sales. And they were challenging. I remember people telling me this is supposed to be really hard. And I remember thinking, okay, I guess it's challenging, but it's kind of just the way it was. And what I realized, luckily very early, is it gave me an advantage. Was if people thought that was hard and that was like my baseline, I should be okay. Maybe I can make it in this industry. And really the lesson there was, it doesn't matter what's going on in the market. It doesn't matter how bad things look. There's always people with a need. And if we're looking if we can fulfill needs, and help people, we're gonna be able to have a business.
That's right.
All right. So shifting gears a little bit, I stole this from Tim Ferriss. I heard him on his podcast. He was interviewing a good friend of his, Peter Attia, who is host of another podcast, which I listen to quite a bit. And because they're close friends and they've done probably 3 or 4 different podcasts together in the last few years, they switched it up and they went with this theme of 3 different questions. Number 1 was, tell me something you're excited about. Number 2 was, tell me something that you have changed your mind on, whether that's in the last year or the last few years. And then the third one was, tell me something that's kind of weird. Maybe not that many people know that about you, whether that's a habit or a hobby, something that you're willing to share. So I'd like to do that with you now, Adam. So let's start with the 3. Let's start with, tell me something you're excited about that for the future. It's something that's really kind of got your juices going right now.
So we always talk about marketing on social media, some of the cool things that are going on there. What I'm really excited about is I spent a couple days in New York and I hung out with some key people from Facebook and learned a lot about Facebook and Instagram marketing from them. It was really cool, but at the same time, what was amazing about it is they kind of went through some of the same mindset that we've been talking about. It's about community and execution and person to person and things like that. And it provided some clarity to me because everybody thinks that there's magic and secrets to social media marketing. There's not. let's just like pull the curtain back. There's nothing magic or secret about it. It's about kindness and consistency. Okay. So that I'm really excited about that focus because I was always looking for that next special secret thing. And it's about just doing the same thing over and over again. But, they talk about a couple different platforms. Stories is really big. So, a big takeaway for everybody, if you're not doing stories on Facebook and Instagram and you're watching this, do stories. That is a really good place, as well as buying ads on stories. That's the cheapest advertisement out there right now for the greatest ROI for you. So I'm excited about starting to build some of this continuous involvement with Facebook into what I'm doing and what I can do to help real estate agents and brokers out there to grow their business. So I'm super excited about that. I'm a little bit of a techie at heart. I love my phone. I got my cool.
Now show your case. Let's show you got the coolest phone case ever.
My Commando phone case there. So the Arnold Schwarzenegger one.
That's pretty awesome.
I love that thing. So it's kind of fun when you hold it up to take somebody's photo with it. They're like, "What is that?" But it's an icebreaker. But so I'm excited about the social media aspect. Something I changed my mind on.
Yeah.
I used to look at a lot of the noise out there and try and adjust the sales based on the noise. That's not the way to do it. You have to adjust the sales in your business based upon your desires to help your customer, because the noise is kind of a fake indication of weather. You can't listen to that to plan your day. You got to listen to what you know is right when it comes to executing and getting things done. So when you take the time and you read the industry articles, you go, "Oh my gosh, the investors say this," or there's this thing going on in one of the big industry tabloids, something like that. You know what you just did? You just spent some time processing information that did nothing for your customer, did nothing to increase the experience of your customer. And the last thing they want you to do is come in and throw up a bunch of bad news on their lap, and they'll go, "I don't want to do anything with this business." So you need to not let industry noise and the news, and especially politics now. I mean, none of that stuff matters matters to your business at this point. You know what matters to your business? The people you can help. So we took this big shift and there was a lot of, did you see? No. The answer is, did you help? And I think if you go away from the did you see to the did you help, you'll find that you're going to increase your business. And that's really what I'm focused on, is the did you help. I think that's important. And really, more than anything, you move up the pyramid in Maslow's hierarchy to, kind of self-fulfillment and things like that. You go from just success in your business. You're probably successful in your business, but you go to significance in the community where you're doing something to help people, because you're taking some of those minutes you have during the day. We have 1,440 minutes in a day. It's not a whole lot. And you're eating them away with just kind of idling in traffic of the noise out there in the news, instead of spending them on something productive.
That's awesome. All right. That by the way, that's a great lesson to share. All right. So tell me something maybe a little weird or strange that most people don't know about Adam Contos.
Weird. Well, you got the 2 years undercover narcotics thing. I always thought that was fun. Just a couple other things that some people know about me, others don't. I'm a dog person. I have 4 dogs. You see 2 of them on social media a lot. Those are my German Shepherds, Seymour and Piper. So love them to death. You see them as much as I possibly can.
Yep.
Show their pictures. They're my proud children. I have 3 kids. I'll be an empty nester this year, and love to scuba dive.
Scuba, really? Okay. How long have you done that?
Probably about 15 or so years.
Okay.
So love shark diving. That's fun to, yeah.
Okay. So you've done that already?
Yes. Yeah. I've done some big shark dives. Like,
how's that? What's that like?
It's fun. I enjoy it because they're just amazing creatures. It's like if you go to an African safari, those lions and the elephants and everything that are kind of walking around your little truck. I've been to Africa too. That they can come over and hurt you if they want. Okay. Just like the sharks sitting on in the ocean, sharks can come up and hurt you if they want, but they're just curious. They want to come up and see what you are. And if you're not acting interesting, like waving your arms out in front of them or something like that, they're just going to kind of look at you and go, all right, move on. They don't eat people because they go, oh, that looks like a good, piece of steak. They taste people more than anything, and they really don't want anything to do with you. So, it's scary at first. Everybody fears the worst, but if you look at it and go and smile and go, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, then you go, whoa, this is a neat experience. So I've been doing a lot of that, trying to expose my kids to that, my teenagers, and they love it too.
That's awesome, man. That's a cool thing. I've always been fascinated by sharks as well, and the type of animals you'd see on a safari. So that very cool. Well, so before we wrap up, I won't keep you too much longer. I appreciate the time you've already lent us. Is there anything at all today that we've missed? Something we should have talked about? Anything that is exciting for you in 2019 or going into 2020, I should say, rather, that you want to make sure we chat about today?
Yeah, I look at our business, where you're sitting today, and this is for everybody who's watching this anytime. Take a look at today and then take a look at yesterday. And are you doing business today the same way you were yesterday? And that's a big question that Dave Linner has always asked us. He said, if you're doing business today the way you did business yesterday, you're going to be out of business tomorrow. So I'm not saying go in and make massive sweeping changes in what you're doing, but try and get a little bit better every day. And that's, that goes over to Darren Hardy's thought, better every day. So that's what we in this industry have to become. And if you don't become better every day, you go out of business. So that's something that I can't stress enough to everybody. Learn something every day, help somebody new every day, answer twice a day. What have you done to make money for your company today? Because you're in a business, and the more you make, the more you can give, the more you can do for other people. And that's it. It's about going from success to significance. So
that's awesome. I appreciate that. All right. And I'd be remiss too if I didn't mention this. Right over your shoulder, I can see your the Start With a Win podcast, right? So can you tell us quickly about the podcast? Give us a little plug on that.
Sure. Every Wednesday, we put out a podcast. It's about 20 minutes in length. Perfect time to, drive time is typically an average of 20 minutes in the U.S. Or 20 minutes on a treadmill. But every Wednesday, we put out some sort of a not generally real estate related, but it has to do with being better. Some of them are real estate related. We have a lot of real estate agents on there, a lot of brokers on there that have grown their business, as well as authors, speakers, athletes, and just different ideas to help you start with a win. So that's what it's about, starting with a win and continuing to win through the day.
Very cool. So check out Adam's podcast, Start With a Win, weekly. And all right, Adam, Contos, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. It's great to see you again, and look forward to seeing you in person next time, my friend.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon. Have a great day.
You too.